And now, our feature presentation.
The human body, 206 bones, 650 muscles, a heart that will beat some 3 billion times, lungs that deliver breath through 1,500 miles of airways, all superbly orchestrated by billions of nerve cells and billions of miles of genetic information in combinations that make each of us unique. 100 trillion cells, one incredible human body. Every day it takes us on a miraculous journey, pushing the frontiers, meeting awesome challenges, defying the boundaries of human achievement. A basketball star redefines the limits of peak performance.
I think if I could look inside my body, you'd probably see our heart just beating a lot faster.
A childless couple challenges the odds to create life.
I would say she has at least a 50-50 chance of getting pregnant, but you just don't know going into it where it's going to go.
A school teacher battles the death that lurks deep within his brain.
How serious is it? Tumor's going to kill him, so it's deadly serious.
It was like I said goodbye because I didn't know what he would be like coming out.
These are the daily dramas of human life, but they take place inside ourselves, in realms we could never see. But now we can. Today, awesome new technology allows us to peer inside our bodies as never before, to see a brain think, a heart beat, a life begin, to discover the boundless potential of the incredible human body.
The human body is mind-boggling to see how the whole system is integrated in a sense. The heart beats, the brain is firing electrical signals, your eyes are capable of catching all these wavelengths and storing the light, retrieving the information. If you approached me as an engineer and said, make me a system that can retrieve that kind of information of sound, light, put it with memory for everything you've ever seen. This is amazing, a piece of equipment. And it can all be stored in these little teeny cells, which all come together and form this beautiful snowflake called a human, with each one of them amazingly different.
From a cluster of cells, a new human being begins the journey to life every quarter of a second somewhere in the world. To understand the amazing results of that journey, we must begin at the beginning, the miracle of conception. For some couples, that seemingly commonplace miracle seems impossible. Today, reproductive science, marrying skill and knowledge to the magic of nature, can make the impossible happen. And here it will provide a wondrous window into the beginning of human life.
My husband and I have been together 11 years, and we were trying but not trying. And it just dawned on us one day that something might be wrong, that I'm not getting pregnant. And we decided to investigate.
What I want to do is spend most of the time talking about in vitro with you guys.
Dr. Mark Sauer doesn't claim to make miracles, but about once a week his fertility team will help to bring a baby into the world through in vitro fertilization, or IVF. With Dr. Sauer's help, Inez and Daryl Pearson will have a 50-50 chance at creating a new life.
IVF really is a natural process, even though it's outside the human body, because it allows us to put sperm and egg together and create an embryo, which is no different than what happens in nature.
But unlike in nature, remarkable access to Dr. Sauer's laboratory will allow us to observe the encounter of sperm and egg in extraordinary detail.
So we'll be seeing you a lot over the next few weeks. Okay.
Okay. We're just ready to get started now.
You can go ahead and push it back in and try it again, maybe a little more slowly.
Inez begins a regimen of hormone injections that will stimulate her ovaries to produce more than the customary 1 egg per month.
Like a dart, okay?
Do it like this. I'll squeeze the skin.
You'll wipe with alcohol
Wipe
first.
with alcohol.
Like so, okay?
Oh, God.
A little bit faster than that. Yeah, like that.
Oh my God.
All right? Yeah. You can start to see that here, okay?
It's time. As hoped, many eggs are ready. As she is put to sleep, Inez delivers a drowsy wish.
What was that? What did she say?
She said, I want a boy.
That's what I thought she said.
Start on the left side. There's a lot of follicles. You can see the needle tip there on the screen.
The remarkable egg that begins human life is a single cell, no wider than a hair, barely visible to the eye.
Most people have no idea how small a cell is. If I crudely scrape the inside of my mouth, I have about 10,000 cells under my fingertip. These things are really small. You can't see that without a microscope. And yet that can make a human. See how amazing this is?
One by one, 27 precious eggs are retrieved. When the safety of the eggs is assured, Daryl's semen is collected. Embryologist Bob Prosser will filter out the dead and less healthy sperm.
Okay, this is the before sample. It has not been processed. And so from this, we can compare this with the post-processing sample. You can see that the sample is much cleaner. Almost all of the sperm are motile. And they look like happy campers.
Dr. Prosser positions the egg, magnified 400 times, and readies the single sperm he has selected from a pool of hundreds. The sperm is injected, and the critical moment for fertilization arrives. Like a great celestial director, he repeats the procedure, guiding sperm to another egg. If this is the meeting that proves successful, we are observing, in the immediacy of real time, the first miracle of many that will lead to the life of a child. At this moment, two human destinies intertwine as genetic material from Inez's egg and from Daryl's sperm are shuffled together. Each contributes 23 chromosomes, strands of information that will soon unite. Like a microscopic mountain range, each chromosome carries genes built of molecules of DNA, the most basic design element of human life. Together, these molecules form an intricate instruction manual, the blueprint for an entire new human being.
The human body, like a house, is built from a rolled up set of blueprints, which is rolled up into a little chromosome, and it's a DNA sequence, and it says blue eyes. It says female. It says about 5'8" with brown hair.
The epic accomplishment of revealing our genome, the codebook of human life, may soon open a floodgate of biological revelations. Craig Venter was at the crest of this wave of knowledge.
The genome is our collection of all our genetic information. It's a 4-letter alphabet composing DNA, and when we sequence the genome, we determine the exact order of roughly 3 billion of those letters. It's elegant in its simplicity. The genetic code has 4 different chemicals. We substitute A, C, G, and T for those. We attach 4 different color dyes, 1 color for each of the letters of the genetic code. It's like just solving a jigsaw puzzle. Only the jigsaw puzzle has, in our case, 27 million pieces. So it came in a very big box and there was no picture on the cover.
Putting the pieces of this puzzle together has provided knowledge that will enhance the quality of human life, and perhaps even extend it.
We're at the very fundamental first steps in a very powerful force. There's some relationship between aging and our genes. So if we can control those genes, will we be able to extend the aging process? Well, it's distant stuff, but probably. Knowing the human genome and mapping up how it changes is a major step forward in understanding the making of this wonderful human body that we've got. Through the history of time, the DNA sequence has been marching down through generation after generation of your relatives. And now it continues in your offspring.
Overnight, DNA from Inez's eggs and Daryl's sperm unite, and 13 of the 27 eggs show the telltale dimple that indicates success. It's working. With exquisite grace, 1 cell becomes 2, 2 become 4. Each duplicates the original, unique DNA. The enchanted progression of cell division continues. For 5 days, the embryos are monitored. Finally, the division creates masses of cells known as blastocysts, and any one of these blastocysts may become a part of the Pearson family.
This embryo here, if you look at the outer shell on this center embryo, it's very thin. The embryo is getting ready to hatch out of its shell. It's a very nice blastocyst. The inner cell mass is going to become the embryo itself, what you normally think of when you think of a baby. Arms, head, legs, toes, fingers. And actually this inner cell mass is where you find the embryonic stem cells, which are very much in the center of the genetic revolution that's going on right now.
Embryonic stem cells stand in the vanguard of human life. These magical all-purpose cells will eventually transform into every cell type in the human body. This extraordinary potential of stem cells has made isolating them one of the holy grails of science, although a controversial one. Dr. John Gearhart was at the forefront of that achievement.
These cells have 2 properties. One is that if you keep them in the dish, under certain culture conditions, they will continue to form more cells like themselves. So you can grow a room full of these embryonic stem cells, and they are undifferentiated cells. They all look alike. If you take some of these cells, though, and you put them out in different kind of growth conditions, these cells are capable of forming all the cell types that are present in the human body. What we are looking at here are heart muscle cells that are beating as a tissue.
Once, these were stem cells with uncharted destinies. Dr. Gearhart has directed their development into heart cells, now able to beat in perfect synchrony.
It's always been the dream of humankind that someday we'd be able to replace tissues in the body that were either damaged or diseased or simply worn out. But we really never had the starting material to do this. Now we have in the laboratory, in our dishes, growing nicely, virtually all the cell types that are present in the human body.
They make a you. A stem cell can make you. That's pretty powerful. And I can control this stem cell and understand everything about it. Now we're set up to answer one of the first and basic questions about how a human is made.
As we've hoped, we have very well formed and ready to transfer type of blastocysts.
After 6 days of growth in the lab, Inez's embryos are ready for implanting. She's shown what might turn out to be her first baby picture.
Now, with embryos of this quality, if I put in 3, the chance of multiple birth may be as high as 40 to 50%, usually twins. If that makes you overly nervous, then I would suggest putting in 2, which still gives you a very good rate, but less multiples. What do you think about all that?
I think we'll go with the 2.
Okay. Okay, so we'll do 2.
At first I was going to just do 2. So, well, if one doesn't make it, then one will live. And at the last minute, I was sitting there thinking about it. I said, well, that's not that much either. I mean, for the amount of things that we have gone through, to just do 1 was not a very smart idea to do. And then we started talking about it and said, wow, 2's not that great either.
Okay.
So maybe I'll do the 3.
Now you want to do
I'll do the 3.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'll put in that new order for you. Bob, she wants the 3 now.
The 3 embryos are put into a single catheter and guided onto the lining of Inez's uterus.
Placement is very good. Oh, well, this is what you hope for when you start. I really think it's a 50-50 chance for her at this point. Whether or not she's going to get pregnant, we'll find out in about 10 days.
I didn't get really, really excited because they said, there is a chance that it might not work, might not be successful, and we don't want you to really get your hopes up too high, so I just kept it like that.
Science has done its best, but it will be a long 10 days for Inez. 27 eggs collected, 13 fertilized, 5 viable blastocysts, 3 now offering Inez the chance to be a mother.
Under the first power? Does that look right? Not really, does it? Okay, what about 10 to the first power? Does that look
Much
right?
of what we know about the way the human body works emerges when it is in need of repair. Scott Tennis, a veteran 6th grade teacher and football coach in rural North Dakota, is the victim of debilitating seizures that have led to the frightening discovery of a massive brain tumor. 2 months ago, Scott's tumor began growing rapidly, as did the frequency and severity of his seizures. Often, he would pass out. If left untreated, Scott may have less than a year to live.
I had 3 seizures in 3 weeks, and all of a sudden it was like, whoa, we need to do something.
Scott and his wife Lisa traveled to the renowned Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, where high-risk brain surgery has been recommended. The brain is a greedy organ. While Scott's brain makes up just 2% of his body weight, it consumes 20% of the oxygen his body uses. Floating within his skull, its two hemispheres contain 100 billion cells, and the eager connections between these cells bring consciousness. But if these connections are interrupted by disease or tumor, the brain misfires and electrical storms can create havoc within.
Mr. James?
Yes.
My job here today is to put these markers on. Okay, and they create a reference mark on the MR images. Okay.
Knowing the exact location of the tumor is vital. One wrong move in any direction could leave Scott paralyzed, remove crucial brain cells, or worse.
Okay. Last two. And we're all set. Okay. Thank you.
The MRI scan shows the location of the tumor, but it is essential to identify the specific functions of the area it occupies, and to do so in 3 dimensions. From these scans, a startling 3D visualization of Scott's brain is prepared for his surgeons. This will enable them to see inside from any angle, as if his skull and brain were transparent.
Early on, when I first came to Mayo, I was doing some imaging, early 3-dimensional imaging, and would talk to a neurosurgeon and showed him some of my visualizations of the brain and the tumor. And he told me something I've never forgotten. If I can see it, I can fix it.
What you can see is you can remove any plane you want to. So if I want to get the skull off, and then I want to get the covering off, and I want to move down, I just hit buttons that will move me down to just the area I'm working on. It's a totally different picture. It's the same as walking inside a building versus standing on the outside.
Scott and Lisa meet with Dr. Frederick Meyer, who will perform the difficult surgery.
Scott has a brain tumor that's infiltrated through the dominant part of his brain, and it's close to the part of the brain that controls movement to the right side of the body, and it's very close to his language centers, and it's sitting within an area that helps initiate and coordinates motor activity, movements. We can see it starting this white area here. This is the left side of the brain. This is all tumor here, and here, and here, and here,
okay,
and here, and here.
The image grimly reveals how difficult the surgery will be. Scott's tumor is in a particularly dangerous location in the cerebrum, the brain's outermost layer, thought to be the thinking brain. The massive tumor lies between the crucial regions controlling speech and movement, and it is perilously intertwined with healthy brain tissue. To avert damage to these areas, the surgeons will need to be able to speak to Scott as they work, and that means Scott will have to stay awake through most of the operation. It is his best chance for a return to normal life.
This is all very controversial. I think it's a very difficult decision. I mean, it's an awful decision that no one should have to make. How serious is it? If he doesn't have successful treatment of his tumor, whatever that treatment is or consists of, tumor is going to kill him. And he's a young man. So it's deadly serious.
Those words just hit me like a ton of bricks. The things that ran through my mind were my kids, my family, and is this going to be our last Christmas together?
Have a seat.
It's been 10 days, and the big moment for Inez nears as she awaits the results of her pregnancy test.
I just want to let you know that your pregnancy test was positive. Which is wonderful.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Well, give me a hug.
Yes, I was surprised. Yeah. But, I saw everybody, nobody looked sad or anything when I walked into the office. I said, must be good news. So that kind of gave it away a little bit. Everybody was like, acting normal, too normal for me, And I kind of said, I guess everything must be okay. Hello? What are you doing? Well, I got good news for you. I'm pregnant. Why are you laughing? He's like, you're pregnant? Ah! And he was laughing. He was like, oh, that's so nice. What?
This is where the fun begins, because now we have something to track that's real. It's a pregnancy. That's what everybody's been hoping for. Watching this embryo take form to a fetus, and the fetus, hopefully later to a baby, is really the fun part of this job.
The first thing you're going to notice is that right here is a pregnancy sac.
Okay.
Okay, and you see a little area kind of fluttering right there? That's the heartbeat of the baby.
Can I have a picture of that?
I'm going to give you lots of pictures here. Now you have God has truly blessed you. You actually have two, because you see there's one baby there. Okay. And then you see the other baby over here. You get a nice view. Right there, you can see the heartbeat fluttering. See that right by the X? So you have twins. I hope that's good news. You get a nice picture.
That was my first time ever seeing a heartbeat, so that was pretty amazing. It's just a wonder. You look at that and you're like, it's a living baby growing inside of you with a heartbeat. That's when it really hits you, yeah. This is the best shot, yeah. This one.
It's during this period where all of a sudden the first system you see kicking in is the circulatory system. You see blood vessels form, the heart is in there beginning to beat, and it's very critical because an embryo can only grow so large without its own circulatory system.
At 22 days, the tiny heart, no bigger than a poppy seed, begins to beat. Soon the embryo is pumping its own blood through the umbilical cord back to its mother for a fresh supply of oxygen and nutrients. Now just a simple tube, this heart will grow into a 4-chamber structure able to beat 100,000 times a day. In a 70-year lifespan, the human heart will beat 3 billion times, which may explain why yogis like to measure time not in days, but in heartbeats. NBA players count the minutes they play on the court, and on this night, the aerobic limits of the Charlotte Hornets are being put to severe test. They are competing in what will be the longest game in team history, a triple overtime that will force even these top professional athletes to push their bodies to the limits. How do they do it? Charging down the court, they will pump over 30 quarts of blood per minute. In that same minute, even the most excited spectator will move only about 5.
I think you feel your heart beating, especially if it's a pressure game or if you have one of them spells where you're up and down the court a lot. Yeah, you can definitely feel your heart and it feel like it's about to come out of your chest. I think if I could look inside my body or any one of my peers' body, I just think how hard. And you compare a normal person, you probably see how hard just beating a lot faster.
Heartbeat is controlled by the brain and adjusted to the body's demands. During exercise, when the muscles require extra oxygen, messages are sent to speed up the heart rate accordingly. For the Hornets, these last 30 seconds of triple overtime will tax their hearts and muscles as never before. Their coach summons his exhausted players for final instructions. Final score, Bulls 95, Hornets 102.
It was a long game. I'm feeling a little dehydrated. Feel a little sick to my stomach. My ankles hurt, my feet hurt, my back hurts. This is the agony of victory.
I'm talking to James. I'm really impressed by what NBA players do with their bodies. It's just incredible. I think they are the best athletes in the world, without a doubt. How they do it night in, night out is just fascinating. They're running faster, they're jumping higher, because I think we're able to train the human body. It's doing things that we didn't think it was able to do maybe 10, 20 years ago.
Explode one. Good, explode.
How does the human form reach such peaks of performance? We know the bodies of professionals like P.J. Brown are expertly tuned. His muscles, accounting for more than half of his body weight. His bones, many times stronger than a steel bar of the same weight. Together they're trained to move with eloquent precision. But is it more than fitness that sets these top players apart? Scientists and athletes alike suspect that it is the interplay between body and mind that matters most.
I feel that I've been playing this game so long that everything is just a reaction at this point. You know, taking 100 or 500 or 1,000 shots a day, you know, eventually it's just a part of you.
This endless repetition off the court creates much quicker reaction time on the court. It is as if extensive training hardwires the brain.
A professional basketball player that trains hard in many ways is a genius, in the sense that they can run down the court and dribble at the same time and see all the players at the same time and shoot the ball in ways that people that don't train never could. We're beginning to try to understand the implications of the fact that what you do can influence the structure of your brain, and very specifically, voluntary exercise can actually increase the number of cells in the brain.
When you have a cell, and it's called a neuron, this little thing puts out arms just like a tree branches. And as it watches it under the microscope, it's doing feely-touchy everywhere. And it reaches out, as soon as it touches another one, it knows what it's touched. And it's wired itself. And then it begins to stretch through so it can sense the periphery, your fingertips, and your tongue. They all come back through the spinal cord, and they all make their way up here finally to the brain. And the brain is where all these collective properties of putting all this together says, now I can sense the universe. Wow, I don't know what that is. I know that it's these cells that do this. But how does that brain inside the cavity of the head work? Some strange things going on there. So what the frontier, of course, is understanding the brain.
Spell the word man.
M-A-N.
Has.
H-A-S.
Back at the Mayo Clinic, Scott is less than a day away from surgery. To give doctors a better understanding of how his particular brain works, he undergoes a series of basic cognitive and language tests.
Say they raise good potatoes.
They raise good potatoes.
Will you answer the telephone?
Will you answer the telephone?
I ordered a ham sandwich, a glass of milk, and a piece of apple pie.
I ordered a ham sandwich, a piece of apple pie, and a glass of milk. Penguin.
This knowledge will enable the surgical team to perceive change, signs of danger, as they talk to Scott throughout the operation.
Snail.
I wish he didn't have to be awake, and he could just put him to sleep and do it and be over with, but yet have the same results. I mean, it's going to be tough.
I need to be conscious through the whole thing. I'm not sure exactly how it's all going to go, but that's very intimidating.
Do you know how many images your eye has seen since you were born? Do you know how many sounds you've heard? How in the world could you have stored all of those sounds and all of those images in French, German, English, or whatever you're storing it in, and be able to retrieve it when I just say the word? If I say Saturn's rings, how are you able, in the length of time it took the sound wave to hit your ear, to retrieve that? It is so astounding when we take a look at it, at how fast the brain works, and how amazing it is.
How and where the brain achieves this complex feat of memory has puzzled scientists for centuries. Science is on the trail of this great mystery, and an unexpected answer comes from an unlikely source. London's legendary taxi drivers are the Olympic athletes of memory. Navigating the intimidating labyrinth that is central London, they must create an intricate mental map consisting of thousands of streets, landmarks, and locations.
London is such an enormous city. It's a massive area, chaotic geography, and it's grown up organically. There's no real planning to it, so the streets bend, they twist.
I mean, in London we've got streets where on one side of the street it's called one name, and on the other side of the street it's got another name.
London wasn't laid out for the traffic that we've got now. It was laid out for horses and carts and whatever, and it's adapted to a large extent. So we've had to adapt to it as well, you know.
University of London scientists studying the shape of memory found ideal subjects right in their own backyard. For 150 years, every new cab driver has had to pass a grueling exam, known to Londoners simply as the knowledge. It takes most hopefuls at least 2 years to master, giving researchers a superb opportunity to look at how the brain adapts when required to retain vast amounts of information.
I don't think there's any other city in the world where the cab drivers have to take as much of a test as we do.
Thanks, mate. Can you take me to Albert Hall?
Albert Hall, yeah.
Cheers.
When somebody gets in your cab, they'll say, take me to so-and-so, and it's got to be like that. You've got to know instantly where you're going, which way to be pointing. So there's a lot of retention. You've got to retain a lot of what you've learned as well.
Here are ordinary people whose jobs depend on exercising their brains in an extraordinary way. Scientists suspected a particular region of their brains, called the hippocampus, might be the key to their success.
The hippocampus is a part of the brain deep in the brain. It's on the sort of insides of what we call the temporal lobes, which are the parts of the brain immediately to either side of the temple, just behind the bone there. There's two structures, one on each side, critical for laying down new memories.
Now, run me to the nearest police station.
They bar up Waterloo Bridge, Ford Lancaster Place.
If memory depends upon the hippocampus, at the Knowledge Point School, drivers in training surely give this part of their brains a good workout.
Lower Robert Street. Right, York Way.
Left Shaftesbury Avenue, left Great Windmill Street.
Right into Goldhawk Road and sit down on the left.
Dave, give me the name of a restaurant on Portland Road with a lady's name.
Chutney Mary's.
Hereford Road, where would you give me?
Veronica's.
Denise, Southampton Road contains a restaurant with a lady's name.
Would that be Denise's restaurant?
If I then said to you, Zaffarano's restaurant, Zaffarin restaurant, Zuka Zo, I now want zinc. It's very important with all these points that you keep them in your mind and see them in your eyes, okay? That's it. Thank you for attending, and keep these sheets. Anything we didn't know, please go out and look for it. Thank you very much.
After class, students like Andy Miller take to the streets. Since visual processing occupies more brain activity than all the other senses combined, it is not surprising that direct experience is an essential part of the knowledge training.
You start off learning all the roads, then you have to learn all the places on every road.
With all the routes that you have to do for the knowledge, you couldn't possibly do it on a map. You have to get out on your bike in the rain, the cold, the snow. You learn it bit by bit. The brain is gradually gathering more and more and more information. As long as you keep remembering and revising streets, they will stay in your brain.
But how does the brain retain and order all that information? As the scientists suspected, mastering the knowledge may have a physical impact on the brain itself. Their study concluded that part of the hippocampus was indeed larger than average in these drivers. In fact, the most dramatic differences were seen in the drivers who were on the job the longest.
The hippocampus has a spatial map in it, and what seems to be happening in the taxi drivers is that the spatial map is laid down of central London. And laying this down causes the connections to develop and grow and more of them to form, and that makes part of the hippocampus get bigger.
It's almost like you've somehow, somewhere up in your brain, you've created enough space to sort of slip this map in, a little bit of software.
You've got to see it in your head, on a map in your head. You build up a big picture of London as a map in your mind, and you can see the lines and the wiggles of the streets so that you can see exactly where everything is.
This study suggests something we presumed not possible, that the adult brain can refashion its basic anatomy according to the requirements of its owner.
I think it's a very important study because it's shown for the first time in man that the hippocampus can reorganize itself. But what does it mean? It means that the hippocampus is changeable. We say in science it's plastic, like a bit of plasticine, you know, it actually can change shape.
I definitely feel as though I've got a larger hippocampus than most people. In fact, it's been said. I've had people get in the cab and say, I've noticed you've got a larger hippocampus than most others.
It's quite interesting really, because we just set out to do the knowledge, to learn it for our job, and now we're being told that we've exercised part of our brain which is enlarged now, and you know, it's got to be a bonus, hasn't it?
If human existence can be described as the sum of our memories, the implications of the study are dramatic and far-reaching. Once we wouldn't have dared to dream our brains might possess this kind of adaptability. Now we dream. Can these insights be used to help restore the minds of stroke victims, Alzheimer's patients, and those suffering brain traumas?
I do know that he's going to have surgery, and I know he's going to stay in the hospital for a couple of days. And I know that he might have to learn how to read and write again a little bit, so I might have to read him some books and teach him how to write again. And I know that he's kind of scared about this, and my mom is too.
It's been a sleepless night for Scott Tennis, so being awake for surgery at 6 a.m. is not a problem.
Right now, I'm to the point now where I want to get it over with, just because I know what he's going through. We know when we were told that he will be banged up for a little while. But how long is that going to take, and how much is it going to be? That's the scary part. I was calm until I saw him walk away. I tried to follow as far as I could, and I knew I couldn't go any farther when he got into the pre-op. It was like I said goodbye, because I didn't know what he would be like coming out.
This part's a little uncomfortable, so I'm going to numb out the skin.
I'm very scared. There's a reason you have a skull. It's to protect your brain. And then all of a sudden they're going to crack that open, and go into your brain and take something out of there.
You're going to feel pressure.
You know, the thought that someone that I've only met once is going to, I'm trusting my head to be dug around in by this person. It's a scary thought.
Scott must remain absolutely still for the surgery, which could last as long as 6 hours. So his head is bolted into place. The dots from the previous day's scan allow surgeons to align the images of his brain with his actual brain. Scott is briefly put to sleep while his skull is being opened for surgery. The doctors will soon wake him for the rest of the operation.
First thing we're going to do, I think, is we'll go ahead and stimulate, confirm the precentral gyrus as a start.
Guided by the extraordinary 3D images to see where his eyes cannot, Dr. Meyer is able to close in on the borders of the tumor.
We come to the tumor. It looks like we're just on the outside of it. And anteriorly, there's the border, just as you would predict. So the tumor goes from here, all the way up to about here. And of course, it's going down deep too. All right, we're going to start the stimulation then, okay?
I'm ready.
Electrical impulses will briefly shut down brain activity in the specific area being tested, allowing Dr. Meyer to see how far he can cut without significant loss. A few millimeters to the left could impinge speech. A few millimeters to the right could impede movement.
On.
Numbness of the arm is there is a jerk at the forearm, at the elbow.
This area caused movement of his arm, his hand, his fingers, and thumb on here. And it's always amazing, I think, to all of us that such a little part of the brain has so much function. Sort of a miraculous thing.
It will be hours before Lisa will hear any news.
I could sit for maybe 20 minutes at a stretch and then I'd have to do something else, or because I tried to keep myself occupied, but it was hard. I kept looking at my watch and I was scared, very scared.
As Dr. Meyer cuts with his scalpel, Dr. Duffy keeps a vigil to verify that language is not lost.
Please sit down. They raise good potatoes. Will you answer the telephone?
My leg.
Your leg?
My leg. What about your leg? It's tightening up.
Feels tightness in his right leg.
Okay.
Spell the word watch.
W-A-T-C-H.
The word yellow. Okay.
Everything okay?
The right leg is getting a little bit weaker. That one got a lot of weaker.
A lot or a little?
A lot. It's about moderate. It's about a -2.
Okay, so we'll stop our resection in that area. Your speech is just fine, obviously. Your arm's okay.
Yes.
But we're not going to resect any more in that leg region, okay?
Okay.
For what it's worth, Scott, we're getting a very big removal of your tumor.
Okay.
I think if we go any more, we're going to really probably guarantee giving you a paralysis, and I don't think that's a good trade-off. And if I were in your shoes, I'd want me to stop. Why don't you ask Steve? Steve, you feel like you know. What patients go through is really an awful event. It's an awful experience. And I think it's helpful for them to visually see, gosh, this was in me, and now it's out.
Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
That's the tumor, huh?
That's the tumor.
Cool. Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Seen enough, huh?
Oh, there you are. He's doing just fine. Everything went as well as we could hope for. It looks like
well over 90% of the tumor's been removed, which is better than I thought we would do, as you know. In terms of his function, I think it's sort of as I predicted to you, but better. His language is fine, his arm's normal.
I was very nervous when Dr. Meyer came and talked to us because I was expecting dreaded news. But as he kept talking, it kept looking better and better. Got a little bit of the brick off my shoulder.
We would never say that this is a cure, but I think in terms of the spectrum of things, I think what we did today has given him a good shot at trying to beat it. Okay. We'll let you be.
Thank you.
Yep.
I was scared to see him, what he would look like. I walked around the corner slow because I knew I was ahead, but I didn't know. I expected his face to be swollen up and on an oxygen and things like that. But when I saw him, I was like relieved. I could handle it.
What I'm feeling right now is a little headache.
He sounded very good. He squeezed my hand and it was pretty tight for having some weakness from the swelling.
Having come very close to facing death, Scott is able to speak and move. Without awake surgery and the images that rendered his brain transparent, the result might have been disastrously different.
It's good to see him smile. Because he's, it's been hard for him to smile lately.
Six months later, Scott returns to teaching and coaching football. Someday, his children's generation will inhabit a world where the leaps of science that saved him will seem commonplace, surpassed by new ones now unimaginable to us.
Each time a tool comes into place, it expands what we can do. It's like the internet. It constantly is expanding. So what I have seen happen in my lifetime in biological science is a change from a horse and carriage to a space shuttle. The computer changes are minor compared to what we've been able to see changing in biological understanding.
For Inez and Daryl, this understanding has begotten two lives that quickly reveal their own resilience. Born prematurely by emergency cesarean, Kayla and Kasim Pearson spend their first weeks in the hospital, but soon grow healthy and strong.
Is it magic? It's like when you hold your baby for the first time. You can say, oh, this is just DNA dividing cells. Wait a minute, this is pretty amazing. This goes beyond just a simple dividing DNA. Where in here does something become, quote, quote, miracle or magic? A human, when it all comes together, makes something that's more than the sum of its parts. And that something is consciousness, is the ability to store information, to think, to create, and to conceive the universe. This is the mystery of the human. We do not know what the human potential is. Everything we think is a roadblock to what a human can do physically and mentally is proven to be wrong. And this just means the limitations that we have set can be overcome.